Everyone knows Al Capone as Scarface, the violent gangster who ruled Chicago during Prohibition. His name is associated with bootlegging, corruption, and brutal violence. But during the Great Depression, when thousands of people in Chicago were going hungry, the man feeding them wasn't the government. It was Al Capone. In 1930, Chicago was struggling. Banks were collapsing. Jobs were disappearing almost overnight. Men stood in long lines, hoping for work that never came. Families were forced onto the streets. Hunger became part of everyday life. At the same time, Al Capone controlled much of Chicago's underground economy. Through bootlegging and organized crime, he was making millions of dollars while the rest of the city suffered. To most people, Capone was a criminal, but behind the scenes, something unexpected was happening. In November of 1930, a soup kitchen quietly opened on Chicago's South Side. There were no advertisements, no speeches, no cameras. The sign was simple: free soup, coffee, and bread. Every day, the kitchen served more than 2,000 meals. Unemployed workers, fathers, veterans, anyone who was hungry. What many people didn't know was that the operation was funded by Al Capone. Capone instructed that no one be turned away, no questions asked, no names recorded. For a city overwhelmed by poverty, the kitchen became a lifeline. City officials were aware of the soup kitchen's true source. So were the police. But Chicago didn't have the resources to feed that many people. And shutting it down would have created public outrage. So the city looked the other way. For many struggling families, Capone wasn't a criminal. He was the man making sure they ate. This is where the story becomes uncomfortable. While Al Capone was funding meals for the poor, he was also ordering acts of extreme violence. Rival gangs were eliminated. Witnesses disappeared. Blood was spilled in the same city where his soup kitchen operated. Two realities existed at once. By day, Capone was a provider in a broken system. By night, he remained one of the most dangerous criminals in America. And he understood something powerful. People are less likely to turn on the person who feeds them. Capone didn't promote the soup kitchen loudly. He didn't stop the rumors either. He understood reputation. In many neighborhoods, residents refused to cooperate with police investigations. Not out of fear, but out of loyalty. To them, Capone had stepped in when no one else would. Despite the violence, despite the corruption, Al Capone wasn't brought down by gang wars or murder charges. He was arrested and convicted for tax evasion. The man who survived bullets and rival gangs was undone by paperwork. The soup kitchen eventually closed. The lines disappeared, and Capone's empire collapsed. But for a brief moment in history, during one of America's darkest economic periods, a notorious criminal fed a starving city. And that is the untold story of Scarface's soup kitchen. And so, in one of the darkest moments of the Great Depression, a notorious gangster quietly fed thousands of hungry Chicagoans, a side of Scarface history rarely remembered. But this was only one chapter in a city full of secrets and untold crimes. If you want to hear the next story that history tried to hide, subscribe to Untold Crime Stories and hit that bell. Every week, we'll uncover another truth that the history books left out.